And we're back in Inside the Ropes, and tonight we have a very special guest. He's someone that we've wanted to have on ever since we started this show 18 months ago. He's a man of many hats. You might know him as the 1-2-3 kid in the WWF, or as Syxx in the NWO, or X-Pac as part of D-Generation X. He is the one and only Mr. Sean Waltman. Sean, welcome to Inside the Ropes.
Thank you, Kenny.
So, part of the reason you're on the show tonight is you're behind a new project called Viva L.A Lucha. You're putting your name behind that, so we're going to talk about that later on. But just wanted to talk to you a bit about your career, if that's all right.
Whatever you want, man.
And I think one of the things that I found quite interesting was we had Scott Hudson, the commentator from WCW, on the show not too long ago, and he was talking about the Global Wrestling Federation, which you were obviously a part of. Before you ended up in the WWF. But in the WWF, when you came in '93, there didn't seem to be many guys your size at that point. So you stood out as one of the kind of different characters on the show. How did you end up going to the WWF? Like, how did that opportunity come up for you?
Well, I guess it depends on who you talk to. Because I mean, the person that I was first that I got a phone call from was Sergeant Slaughter, and I had put him on hold actually for several minutes because I was promoting the show with Sabu and Terry Funk, or I wrestled Sabu, Terry Funk wrestled Road Warrior Hawk, and it was a big show for Minnesota, and it was a great show actually. But so anyways, I was promoting the show, and so I thought Sergeant Slaughter was. For some reason, I forgot he was working with WWF at the time, and so like I put him on hold, right? And then finally I get to him, and he's telling me like, we want to bring you in for tryout. I'm still not getting it right, like because that's how much I didn't think I was ever going to WWF. I really like it wasn't where I thought my path was going to lead. I had a gig with New Japan kind of lined up, but I was smart enough to know like when they call, like you go, you know. Mm-hmm. So anyways, Sarge is the one that I got the phone call from. Pat Patterson will tell you because he's a guy named Roger Buck in Minneapolis that he used to see me wrestle in Minneapolis a lot. Depends on who you talk to. Vince probably knows. It was his idea, according to Scott, it was his idea before I was even brought in for a tryout. So who the hell knows?
And so, when you came in, you were pushed pretty much straight away. You had the Razor Ramon angle, and then you would win the tag titles with Marty Jannetty. And it kind of seems like nowadays that a guy who comes in doesn't seem to get that sort of push anymore. Do you think that's something that WWE should kind of do a bit more now, is bring a guy in and kind of, really, really make him a star in the company?
Well, but how, okay, they were pushing us how, but that's the thing I don't understand. There's some guys that are getting their opportunities and doing a lot with them, but like you can't push something if it doesn't propel itself. Like, you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes, that's what you're limited to, talent-wise. Depth-wise, as far as, established names. I came in, my angle was really unique, how I came in. The average guy came in with a some vignettes or something and getting some, squash matches on television, and you got to try to get over that way, Actually, they put it, I was like well thought out how I was coming in. So, and it was the first thing it was the first storyline they ever ran on Raw, which that was pretty cool.
And what was, when you came in and you did that angle with Scott Hall, and what was that like? Because obviously they put Raw in the Manhattan Center, quite a rabid crowd. What are your kind of memories of looking back on that now, 20 years later?
I remember the day having. I was pretty excited about it because I came the week before and, laid it out to me, okay, first you're going to come in, you can get beat up by Curtis
Hughes?
What's the big cat Curtis Hughes, yeah. And then I'm going to get beat up by Doink the Clown. It was one or the other. I can't remember if I got the order backwards or not. But, so I'd coming in a week before that, and prior to prior to that, I had a tryout match, and I was fortunate enough to have a really good guy, Louis Spicoli, as my opponent. So I got to really feature my what I thought were my strong suits at the time. So, and that was all my strong suits were in the ring. I didn't have any kind of bike skills really.
You also you told a really cool story recently that I wonder if you could just tell us again about working with Bob Backlund in the WWF, and there was something that he did for you that you didn't expect that he was going to do. So what was it like working with Bob Backlund, and then you eventually got to work with him in Madison Square Garden as well?
It was a bit of a chore. Like I was really honored to work with Bob, and he always carried himself with the utmost professionalism and pride, and just always tried to represent wrestling well, exceptionally well. Like, I mean, the guy was really intelligent and really. I mean, he would put it this way: Bob Backlund's the kind of guy that would know your birthday and call you on your birthday or send you a card on your birthday, even though you don't like running around with each other all the time. He's a real good guy, and it was a chore for me as a babyface to work with him because he was an out wrestler you type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had good matches and all that. It's just like that. It was style wise, like it was almost like working with him was almost like working with the big giant guy, even though he wasn't really a giant. I still worked with him like he was, but Bob, anyways, we had a match on Raw one time, and it was a nice match. It was a good match. He beat me, and he actually came up to me and he said, "Hey, I just want to know I want to return the favor." And I just took it as just somebody just being being polite, and respectful and all that. And I mean, we got to the Garden. I was wrestling Bob, every night at that point. We got to the Garden, and basically I was putting him over every night. And we get there, and he asked Vince right in front of me, and he didn't ask me. He told him, he said, "I want to put the kid over tonight." Is that okay with you, boss? And, like that. I said, "Yeah, of course." So I beat Bob Backlund in Madison Square Garden. It was pretty cool for me.
Absolutely.
It's a cool story for me. Like, I mean, that might, I guess it depends on where you come from,
Madison Square Garden was almost like his arena in a way, because he'd
at one time, that was his castle for a while. Indeed, it was.
And you then ended up in WCW in '96. What were your first impressions of WCW when you got there and going over there?
I was surprised at how kind of ancient things seemed to be run there, kind of compared to how slick everything was in WWF. Relative at the time, I mean, everything has picked up, since those days as far as technology and things like that. But I mean, just as a company, as a streamlined company, like nothing runs like that. I don't care what it is, the circus, the airlines, it doesn't matter what. Nothing runs like the WWE.
And did you know when you were coming in that you were going to be part of the NWO, or was that something that was kind of decided when you got there?
No, I pretty much knew. They tried not to, put me in there because they did, break up the power, but what are you going to do? It was just that's kind of how the people wanted it anyway, so.
And then obviously you went back to the WWF in 1998, and you came out the night after WrestleMania and cut the kind of shoot promo and Bischoff. What's your memory of that first night when you came back and you came out and got such a good reaction from the crowd as part of DX?
I was nervous that I wasn't going to get the reception I was hoping for, which ended up being, I was nervous for nothing because it was very well received. And it was weird because, we were heels and I was cutting a babyface type promo, I don't even know if I'd call it a babyface promo. It wasn't a promo at all. I was just talking. And, I don't know. We kind of changed a lot of the rules, or we broke a lot of the rules on doing promos. And, what to say in interviews or on live television or whatnot. So, Vince kind of let me know that he was expecting me that the people were expecting me to say something, something big. It's my chance to say what I want to say.
And I wanted to ask you, because you were pretty much there for all of the Attitude Era, and there was so much kind of crazy shit that came on TV, like Mark Henry getting the blowjob from the transvestite, or Mae Young giving birth to the Hand. Is there anything that kind of sticks out in your mind now, looking back, going, how the hell did that make TV?
Yeah, I guess you could say that was quite a bit of that stuff, but I didn't mind the hand thing so much, because I knew it was just camp, I never expected that, Mae Young was going to truly give birth to a real live baby. Nobody, I can't imagine anybody really thinking that, so what else are you going to do? Of course you're going to be a rubber hand. I knew that, I called that a mile away, and I saw them building that angle up for weeks for that hand.
I think probably one of the things you're most remembered for in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s was your partnership with Kane on screen. And even when the whole Team Hell No thing started last year, a lot of people kind of compared that to the partnership that you had with Kane. What was it like working with him, and what are your memories of that team that you guys had together?
Kane was my favorite partner. I don't know, as far as just like regular tag matches, he was my favorite partner. Because it was different because of the dynamic we had. We had the same teacher, but besides that, we weren't extremely close or anything. We didn't travel together or anything like that. But when it came time to do business and anything having to do with that, Fonzie, he was a wonderful, wonderful guy too.
Mm-hmm.
But I just really loved that point of my career.
One of the kind of the big surprises I think that a lot of fans had was when you worked with Shane McMahon at WrestleMania 15, and I guess a lot of people probably weren't expecting much from the match because Shane McMahon was in it, and they maybe didn't know if he could wrestle. But obviously, you and him worked together, and it was a really good match, and a lot of people look back fondly on it. What was your kind of mindset going into that, working with somebody who sort of wasn't a wrestler?
I didn't like it going in I was expecting to have a big WrestleMania match and see what I didn't realize it at the time. Because immediately I always didn't like it, no matter what the idea was. It wasn't my idea. I didn't like it, even if it was a good idea. I was bad at one time. I was a bit of a spoiled brat. So at first I thought they don't, I don't know. I can't remember what I thought. I was just I want to have a really good WrestleMania match. How am I going to do that with somebody that's never had a match before? But, I told Vince, I said, I'll do it, but, you gotta listen to me, and I gotta, it's my way. Oh, and also the deal was that he has to do the job. and that was the deal. And, it just, for the overall picture-wise, it was best that we did that finish at WrestleMania the way we did with Hunter turning on me.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of really good things came out of that. So my team with Kane came out of that. Hunter's I think first championship run came from that. So anyways, I thought that Shane did an amazing job. Really, he actually rented the St. Paul Civic Center has this building that holds 3,000-4,000 people called the Roy Wilkins Auditorium. He rented that auditorium and had somebody from Detroit got a ring there and set it up in the empty building. So I would work out a match with him for WrestleMania, because I wasn't going anywhere on my days off. I was strictly going home and seeing the family, spending time with the family.
Mm.
And I mean, I thought that was really going above and beyond, to do that, to send a ring all the way to Detroit. We were pretty tight, actually, Shane.
You ended up later on in TNA, and you worked with TNA a few times. Do you get a chance to watch much of their stuff?
You know what? I should too, and I don't. I don't know why, but it just doesn't feel like must-see TV to me.
And let's talk about why you're on the show Viva L.A Lucha. You know, you as we've talked about, you worked in WCW against Lucha guys. You've been in AAA. What made you kind of get behind this project and tell the people a little bit about what it is?
It's just the reason behind it is just more or less because Kevin Kleinrock wanted to do it, so he asked me if I'd do it, and I'm a fan of Kevin. Because Kevin, he did the WSX thing that I did with MTV, and I've always thought, Kevin was a really smart guy and had his finger on the pulse of like what was hot, but I always felt like Kevin knew what was going to be cool, like, a year from now, things like that. So whenever he has something going on, like, I like to try to do it with him, and this, I guess I'm kind of like the perfect guy for that show as far as like being one of the producers, because I kind of made it a specialty of showing a Mexican wrestler how to wrestle like lucha, how to work the American style, like not just the American style, but main event style.
Yeah.
And for my years in AAA, so I don't know. It's just when there's like something cool that comes around, like I want to be part of it. Conan's part of it, and the people, like also can be a big part of it.
Yeah, because the goal's $60,000 that you guys trying to raise. Like you said, Conan's behind it. Kevin Kleinrock from Wrestling Society X, and when that 60,000 target's met, you can get 8 episodes of Viva L.A Lucha. There'll be webisodes. What can fans sort of expect from the pilot of this, and what would your sort of, I know you touched there about your involvement would be producing and would it be kind of helping the younger guys?
It's not just younger guys, man. It's any guys that haven't made a transition into working with the other style, and that goes for American guys and European guys that need to try to meet halfway, with the Mexican guys. Because, they even work the opposite side, They lock up on a different side and everything down there. Although, like, all the guys I worked with, they locked up on the international side. So I know they know how. I always wondered why they wrestled on the opposite side like that down there. Nobody can give me a good answer for that.
If I could, I would. But so because it's funny because one of the things I recently saw was you did another project with Kayfabe Commentaries, the Timeline DVD on 1994 in the WWF, and you kind of talk in that about the fact that back in the day you would be the guy that would work with somebody who might be coming in, and now obviously all these years later you're going to be helping guys work the style again, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of what I do. It's, I don't know, ever since I was capable of doing it, that's what I've done. So, I don't know. I also learned a lot from tons of great guys. Just amazing. My teacher, my trainer, the great Malenko. You couldn't get a better trainer. You couldn't imagine a better trainer. And working with when I first went to Japan, it wasn't for New Japan. It was for Universal Pro Wrestling, and all it was Mexican guys. It was all the best Mexican guys from all around Mexico. And so I was brought over there as a top guy, and I worked with all the top Mexicans, and I had a great time. Built a relationship with a lot of them that came in quite handy, 20 years down the road.
Yeah, and we're gonna put all the information up on the Kickstarter campaign on our Facebook page, and obviously anyone that listens to our show knows that we've also teamed up with Kevin Kleinrock to produce the new podcast We Want Lucha. So we're going to be talking to Kevin about the project as well. Yeah, we're doing a kind of new podcast where we are trying to kind of learn about lucha wrestling because we've never really experienced it or watched much of it. So we're going to kind of throw ourselves in and see what happens.
I enjoy lucha when I watch it through the eyes of Kevin Kleinrock. I like his vision of lucha libre is really cool, and hopefully that hopefully it gets funded, and the people will get a chance to check it out, because I can promise that it'll be really good stuff. That much I know I can promise.
And we've just got a couple more questions, if that's okay.
Of course.
What was it like going down to NXT? Like, what were your kind of thoughts when you got down there and looking at the way that it's set up and the guys down there?
From where it was a couple of years ago, like it's so much better, so much better, man. Like, it's actually their show quite often. I think is the best show. Like on, it's not really on. It doesn't have a TV slot, but sometimes I think the best stuff comes off of that show.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah,
it seems to be a popular
Triple
opinion.
H is his working real close with that and putting guys he trusts in certain spots. So
I guess I also kind of wanted to ask you, instead of asking the questions that I'm sure you always get about the clique and about backstage politics and all that sort of stuff that people probably always ask you about, instead of asking you about that, what we wanted to know is, do you have any good road stories about the clique that you fondly remember, maybe a story that you could tell us?
I just remember the overall memory of it was just a bunch of guys, too many guys that fit in a regular car, so we'd have to rent a big van or something to travel in, but just so we could drive together. And we loved the business, and we wanted to get it through the post Hogan era slump, so we were all doing our damnedest, and somehow we were christened the clique. I think Lex Luger could be credited with the actual name, but it was originally used as a derogatory term, and we embraced it. That was fine with us. We can be the clique, and some of the stories are true, some of them are completely fabricated. We did have a lot of power as far as talent goes, but we put a lot more into it than the average guy did. That's the truth.
Well, Sean, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. We could ask you questions all night, but I hope that you'll come back again one day and speak to us again, because we've got lots more we'd like to ask you.
Sure.
We're gonna put up all the information about Viva L.A Lucha, and hopefully people will get behind it. And
I hope so, because like I said, if it goes through and we end up shooting the project, I promise it'll be really good. It'll be really, really cool TV, really cool viewing for the wrestling fan, especially the distinguished wrestling fan.
Absolutely, and we thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, and we do hope to have you back again one day.
I appreciate it, man.